Welcome back to Jedi Enclave. I'm Daniel.
I'm Chris.
And we're the hosts of the Jedi Enclave Presents Now. This is Podcasting Podcast, your weekly adventure into all things Star Wars adjacent, nerd,
some
fantasy.
things that aren't about Star Wars at all.
Yeah, it depends on what mood we are in and what day it is. There's actually a lot of Star Wars stuff today.
Yeah, what phase the moon is in.
Right. Whether or not Mars is in retrograde. Because apparently, according to people I know that are into to astrology, that has some kind of meaning or deep significance. Which is a line I just took straight from Weird Al's song, That's Your Horoscope for Today, which, by the way, is a great fucking song. Everyone should go listen to it. This week, we have the Mike Zeroh Lie of the Week award, which is going to Mike Zeroh again.
Spoilers.
Yep. New trailers.
Yes. There are a bunch of new trailers. Jeez.
I have two on the list that I wanted to talk about. There's Bad Batch Season 3, Avatar, Last Airbender, the Netflix series. Which one are you talking about?
I think you gave me Avatar.
Right, but you said, was there an Invincible? I didn't put it on the list.
There wasn't a trailer, just an announcement that it's coming back in March.
Yeah. So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about some Star Wars fan theories that kind of make sense if you think about them.
Okay.
That it's kind of like some fan theories. I'm like, all right.
I am prepared to tilt my head and squint.
Yeah, because we've talked about stupid fan theories before.
Yeah.
Like Mace Windu is still alive.
Which he's not.
Stupid fan theory. But like there are good fan theories out there that I'm like, I like that.
Okay. Yeah.
So we'll get into that. Time. Oh God. Okay. So I'm going to say this. This, if you're watching live now, this exists as a podcast on our YouTube channel. The Jedi Enclave Presents Now. This is Podcasting on our YouTube channel. And I put time codes in the description so that you can navigate around. Last week's podcast, which got a lot of traffic because we went after Star Wars theory, and a lot of the traffic were the Star Wars theory bros that were like, it's like the guys that really hope that maybe one day Elon Musk will see that they've been defending him in the comments and like he'll let them suck his dick or something. Yeah. Star Wars theory has like the same kind of like guys. I think they'd either suck Elon Musk.
There is a Venn diagram.
Yeah, right. And so they get real upset when we talk about Star Wars theory, and they get in the comments and everything. And what's really funny is that I always know from the quality of comments that I'm right. Because they'll say just the shittiest, and it's because it's the internet, so you have to try to say the most shockingly offensive thing to get noticed and shit. And it's like, if you're on the side that would respond to discourse like this, you're wrong. Like your position is probably the wrong position, and at the very least, you're a terrible person. So I get to go to bed and sleep well, knowing that. So what did I? Oh yeah. So yeah.
Time codes.
I forgot to put time codes in last week's. Oh. And someone...
You're a liar.
Yeah, one of the comments is like, where the fuck are the time codes? I'm like,
oh, God damn it.
Sorry. I'll make sure I'm doing this. I thought I had YouTube set up so that it does like auto chapters. Because I don't know if you know, but AI has gotten kind of crazy. Yes. And like it can figure a lot of shit out. It'll probably know when we die and what we die of at some point.
It can already predict when you're going to die.
Yeah. I thought it did that. So that's what I get for trusting AI. Thank you, by the way, to Connor at the Star Wars Hub.
Who is definitely not an AI.
Yeah, I know. I've talked to him in real life before.
We've had him on the show at least once.
Yeah, we should do that again, actually. He's a really goofy dude. It's one of the reasons I like him so much. So, he runs a thing on Facebook Live, and he's got a YouTube channel and stuff, and we have a lot in common, one of them being the anti-clickbait, anti-rage bait lying about Star Wars thing. So go check his stuff out. He's a really good partner of ours as well. And while you're here, if you're just feeling generous and you feel like giving us some love, you could like the video and subscribe.
Follow, subscribe, comment. I don't know, fucking on suck our dicks.
Yeah, don't do that. We'll talk about it on Facebook Live, YouTube, and Twitch, and Discord, which is in the link. All the links to our socials are in the description of this video. You can check that out. Battlefront 2 is happening tonight at 7 after this.
Assuming you're watching, concurrently with us making it.
And then Gungans and Dragons tomorrow, Sunday at 7, which is our Star Wars tabletop RPG. And I don't think we had it last week because someone was sick or something, but we'll be having it tomorrow, I assume. So looking forward to that.
Shit has gotten real Sithy.
Yeah. Shall we get into our
I think we better.
So I think the big thing everyone's paying attention to this week is the Bad Batch season 3 trailer.
Yes.
Which had more in it than I thought would be in it. And I watched it a couple of times.
It had about 1,000% more lightsabers than I expected.
Yeah, and there was a big reveal. So let's talk about the thing at the end that everyone's talking about. Asajj Ventress,
yes,
apparently back.
I was gonna say, isn't she dead?
She is apparently, yes. So let's talk about this for a second.
Okay.
In the book,
explain to me the lore.
Dark Disciple.
Okay,
is a book by Christine something. I can't remember.
It's a book. Go read it.
It's good. So. At one point, Asajj Ventress kind of figures out that Count Dooku is a prick. So she breaks up with him.
Okay.
Goes off on her own.
Understandable.
Yeah. And ends up not being as evil as people thought she was.
Okay.
And then there's this whole thing where she kind of she shows up in Clone Wars and there's a thing. But she kind of walks off into the sunset to do her own thing. And in this book, the Jedi Council orders Quinlan Vos to assassinate Count Dooku.
Okay.
And they're like, it would be a really good place to start to find out where he is and like how you might want to do that.
Asajj Ventress.
Asajj Ventress. And he's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And they're like, don't fuck her or fall in love with her. And he's like, why would you tell me not to do that?
That's awful specific.
Yeah. And they're like, just don't. And he's like, okay, whatever.
All right, fine.
So he finds her.
And he falls in love with her and fucks her.
Yeah. And so at the end, she's killed.
Okay.
And in his arms.
Yes.
She dies saving him after having fell in love with him. And he takes her body to Dathomir, and she is laid to rest in the waters of Dathomir with her sisters and shit.
Okay, so there's some nice sister shit going on.
So the supervising director of Bad Batch, Brad Rao, said, and I quote, "We don't want to spoil anything, but want fans to know that any storytelling with Ventress will align with the events of Dark Disciple." Okay. Which is very interesting.
So she died.
Yeah.
She died once, but she got better.
Right. Now, I've seen a bunch of memes who are like, oh my gosh, Star Wars is messing with the canon and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, first of all, that is Star Wars' favorite pastime.
Like, they define what canon is.
Yes. Star Wars from Empire Strikes Back is the biggest retconner in all of film history, right? No, I am your father.
Yeah.
Retcon. That was not originally the case.
Vader betrayed and murdered your father.
Leia and Luke being sisters and not fuck buddies. That was not originally planned like that. Fucking from a certain point of view. All that bullshit. So first of all, don't get your panties in a twist. Like these events didn't happen in real life. Like they're fictional events. So you got to change them around to make them to make it internally consistent, right? And that's fine. You suspend your disbelief. It's not a big of a deal. So. How then, right? How and what?
I assume it's just Night Sister shit.
That's my thing too. Is like Night Sister magic is a hell of a drug. Yeah, and that's probably what it is.
I mean, we just saw it on fucking Ahsoka. Yeah, right.
Exactly. Right.
There's all sorts of witchy shit going on.
So there's that whole thing going on, right? And I also noticed that she's wearing a shoulder pauldron in the trailer because there's that cool hero shot with her and she's got the yellow lightsaber, which she has in Dark Disciple. Okay. But it's not the one with the curved hilt. Yeah. Because the yellow has a special significance for her because she doesn't follow the Sith, but she doesn't follow the Jedi either. That doesn't mean she's a gray Jedi. It just means that she's not really, she's like all those guys in real life who are like, I don't really do religion, but they're still kind of spiritual, right? That's Asajj Ventress, pretty much, right? Makes sense. And so the yellow, that's what kind of means for her and shit.
It means that she's an edgy outsider. She doesn't subscribe to any. She doesn't subscribe to your binary political thinking.
Exactly, or religious or whatever. Yeah.
What I'm saying is Asajj Ventress is a non-binary icon.
Yes, which maybe kind of is. Yeah. So she's got the shoulder pauldron that has a snake on it, and from some supplementary Clone Wars materials from a while ago, it's the whole thing behind it is that snakes are misunderstood.
Okay.
They're assumed to be evil, and they're often not, which is absolutely true. We at my house, we have a rule: we do not kill snakes in our backyard because they are terrified of humans. They rarely ever bite, and they are usually a net good to the ecosystem because they keep rodents and shit and bugs and shit in check.
Fewer rodents for your dogs to kill.
They like to throw snakes up in the air. Like I saw this once. Like I looked out the window and like it was in the summer or something. There was a snake out there, and we avoid them with the lawnmowers and stuff. And my dog Brecker was like tossing one. Which he's done that to a he's done that to a possum before as well. He just likes to throw things up in the air. So
he likes to play with his murder victims.
Yeah. So getting into the Asajj Ventress thing, Night Sister magic. Okay.
Yeah.
And if that's the reason, fine.
Yeah.
Whatever. It's none of this shit is real. The Force isn't real. Night Sister magic isn't real. It
works as if the writer wants it
to. George Lucas's favorite writing device was the Force, right? So that's fine. Yeah. Her relationship with Quinlan Voss will be interesting. Because
I wonder if they'll actually explore that though.
It would be cool. Now, okay, so you might
because like Quinlan Voss is dead, right?
We don't know. We don't know anything about where he is.
Was
in fact, yes.
On.
Yep.
I'm thinking about Kenobi in the safe house.
Yes.
Was his name?
You didn't read my notes, did you? Because that's the next thing on my notes. Yeah. No, his so there's that whole storyline in Obi-Wan where they have
the Jedi Underground Railroad,
right? And he goes into the room and all the Jedi like carve their names in there, and Quinlan Voss was like, Quinlan was here, suck my dick. So he's still alive canonically at some point.
Yes.
Right. So he survived
Order
66.
Right.
So is he going to show up? Because that would be pretty fucking cool. Quinlan Voss, by the way, is kind of a badass. I'd love to see him.
My problem with that is that this show has been about the Bad Batch and Omega, and the more lightsabers you start throwing at it, the less those characters like mean anything.
Yeah. Yes, you're not wrong, but also I'm pretty sure they're the point of this season is going to lead straight to Force cloning Sith magic stuff. So there's a shot at the beginning. They're in the middle of an adventure. I bring this up because Crosshair's in the shot with them with his armor on.
Yeah.
So at some point, Crosshair, because we leave him at Mount Tantus with Omega.
Yes.
Right. So at some point, Crosshair escapes and comes back to the Bad Batch.
Of fucking course.
Yeah. I called this when we were talking about season 2 when it was coming up. He's like, it's like there's no way, especially with Tech dying, they needed an extra guy and everything, so that makes sense. There's a shot of Omega flying a ship, but she has longer hair, which in TV always means there's the passage of time.
Passed.
Yeah. And with the line over, Omega's been waiting for us for a long time. So like, was Crosshair rescued, but Omega was left behind, or maybe she stayed, like she chose to stay, maybe to make sure that Crosshair could escape? Because there's a one shot of them crossing each other, like in the hallway at Mount Tantus, and they're trying not to look at each other and shit. Wanda Sykes' character's back, Fee, and I assume
good for her,
is real pissed that someone killed her boyfriend.
Yeah.
There's a cool orbiting spaceship over Coruscant. I don't know what the fuck it is. It's
It's cool looking.
It probably belongs to Palpatine or the Empire. Burning building. I thought this was interesting because the architecture design is from Jabba's palace. Like, it looks like Jabba's palace, but they're not on Tatooine, and it's definitely not Jabba's palace because it's like on the top of a mountain or something.
Yeah, it might be the same weird spider monk robot guys that
on a different planet or something. Right? Yeah. They of course have to remind us that Tech died, so there's a shot of him falling and dying. Look, don't be surprised if they bring Tech back.
I'm hoping they don't.
I kind of hope they don't too, but I'm just saying, don't be surprised. Palpatine fucking shows up in this. He's like,
for the first time since like the first episode of season 1,
right?
I think.
Yeah. I think that makes sense. So he's probably visiting Mount Tantus. He's got his fucking royal guard and everyone's lined up and everything. He talks about he says something about nothing is more important than securing the future, and he's obviously talking about cloning
himself.
Right.
Yes.
So these are the names of the episodes.
Okay.
So there's a 3-episode premiere.
Yes.
Confined, Paths Unknown, Shadow of Tantus.
Okay.
And by the way, if you know anything
Makes
about
it sound
Tantus,
like somebody's leaving Tantus.
Yeah. If you know anything about Tantus, you know it's from Heir to the Empire. It was in Legends Palpatine's old cloning facility where Thrawn cloned a mad Jedi.
Luke.
No, not
Jorah Sabaoth.
Yeah. Siobath.
So it's Siobath?
Siobath.
Is that his name?
It is pronounced in a new re-recording of the audiobook.
Okay.
A different approach.
Mm-hmm.
The Return, and then there's a 2-episode week where they do Infiltration and then Extraction.
Okay,
it's probably where someone's rescued, right? Bad Territory, The Harbinger, Identity. This is another 2-episode week: Identity and then Point of No Return.
Okay,
and then Juggernaut, and then the last 3 or 4 are 3: Into the Breach, Flash Strike, and The Cavalry Has Arrived, which is premiering on May 1st. Which is just a few days before May the 4th.
That's true.
I'm pretty sure there's going to be they're going to be laying a lot of groundwork to make the Palpatine cloning thing happen.
Yeah.
So
this would be the place to do it.
Yeah. Prepare yourself for big reveals that could tie into Ahsoka season 2, the Thrawn film.
Trying to justify the Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah. Mandalorian season 3. Like those, they're laying the foundation for these stories. So pay attention. It's probably going to be huge.
Well, the retroactive foundation.
Right. Yeah. They built the top of it first. And
they're like, shit, this is going to fall if we don't do something. And they're like hammering up some planks.
That's not how you build buildings.
We left out my favorite part of the trailer, which is a fucking Wrecker jumping on a train or onto a ship ramp or something.
Yeah. There were a lot of shots I left out that I wasn't like, they weren't necessarily like, they didn't necessarily
it's just funny looking, not moving the story along or anything.
So Ben says Palpatine's in the mid-season finale of season 2. See, I thought I remembered him somewhere else as well, but they use him sparingly, which is kind of nice because if he shows up in every episode, you're just like, oh my god, I get it, because we all know.
Oh my god, why does Palpatine care so much about these stupid clones?
Right, and you know that he has all the obsession with having the power, but you know that he doesn't go to like Senate meetings. He just doesn't care about that shit.
His entire life up until now was about Senate meetings. He's like, finally, I'm free.
I don't have to go to these motherfuckers anymore.
I can just shoot lightning at people. Yeah. It's great.
So like he always had like the minutiae of the day to day. Palpatine doesn't give a shit about that. He's a broad thinker.
It's all about the scheming and the big goals.
He sits in his chair all day and it's like, what evil shit can I do? Avatar trailer. We probably won't spend a bunch of time on this. Happened.
Yes.
There was one.
It was refreshing to hear all the characters actually say their names properly after fucking
you would think
M. Night Shyamalan's abortion of a movie.
You would think, oh, what do you mean? Why wouldn't they say their character names correctly? It's because that happened.
Yes, because M. Night Shyamalan had absolutely zero knowledge of the source material when he made his movie, and the main character's name is Aang was pronounced Ang.
Yeah, I watched it. I watched that movie. It was way after it came out. I knew that everyone hated it, but I kind of came to Avatar: The Last Airbender late as a fan, so I watched the Nickelodeon, and I was like, "This is fucking rad! Like, this is really cool." And then I watched the movie, and I was like, "Okay." So first of all, if it wasn't Avatar: The Last Airbender, it's a shitty movie. The acting's weird, it's shot weird, the effects are fucking weird, and then I was like, that's not his name. Stop calling him that. Like, why do you keep calling him Ang?
Yeah.
Like, I just don't get it. Again, diverse cast. They actually have, they're not just like all white actors playing, and it looks like a lot of it shot on the volume. I think that's just how shows are going to look for a while. It's just like this. Like, it looks better than what CG in TV shows used to look like, but it's still not like
it's a nice middle ground between the expense of filming on location and getting really shitty CG.
Right. So like, as long as the story kicks ass, I can kind of ignore the effects a little bit anyway.
One of the things that makes the cartoon Avatar: The Last Airbender work so well is that the fight choreography was actually done by a master of Chinese martial arts.
Yeah.
And like, from what they showed in the trailer, there's a lot of that sort of choreography going on. As a person who's been a martial artist, at least like shortly after I learned how to walk, that shit interests the fuck out of me.
because like there is so much Aikido in airbending, right? And there's
different martial arts, but the same idea of like turning to
redirecting,
evade strikes,
right.
and
it's the whole thing is very interesting to me. So I'm excited about it. It looks cool, and hopefully it's good. So quick, there's been a lot of news things about the upcoming Star Wars stuff, right?
Okay.
And the last few weeks when we've talked about something, we've been like trying to scramble. I was like, okay, wait, hold on,
which one is this? Like, let me pull my Pepe Sylvia board and like make sure the strings are all connected.
So I put together a Star Wars film status report.
Okay.
Just so we know what is out there, what we know is out there, and where it is.
And by put together, you mean you found this on another website and we're...
No, I put some of these together myself. Yeah.
Good for you.
So Mandalorian Grogu.
Okay.
Apparently is what it's called.
Okay. I mean,
maybe they think of a better time.
Lucasfilm, I think you should workshop that a little bit more.
It's very literal.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, the title's going to be the characters that are in it.
Okay.
In fact, that's how we're doing all Star Wars movies from now on are going to be.
If it worked for Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid.
Oh, yeah. Do we think this movie's going to be?
It might be.
Yeah.
Maybe it ends with Mando and Grogu like running out into the gunfire of 1 billion First Order stormtroopers or something.
That would be kind of a Mandalorian thing to do.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is directed by Jon Favreau.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be the next film that we see next.
Yes.
Assuming they don't cancel it. So it's like this is the one that's the closest to us, but it's still quite a ways away.
Mm-hmm.
Production set to start this year. Maybe spring, maybe summer.
This is coming after the next season of Mandalorian, right?
I don't know. These are only movies.
Okay.
I should put one together for the shows. And then they haven't announced a release date. They're thinking it could be anywhere, like the Hive Mind is thinking it could be anywhere between spring 2025, spring 2026.
Okay.
All right. Which, when you consider that we're in 2024 now, which I have a hard time remembering, I still think we're in 2023. That actually is not that far away.
15 months or so would be really, really soon.
There's the new Jedi Order era Star Wars film.
Mm-hmm.
And this is apparently Stephen Knight's currently writing the script.
This is the one that all the worst people on the internet are hating and claiming is doomed.
Right. There's no delay expected because of the workers' strike or the writers' strike. So everything is going apparently according to plan. There's no release date yet, but
this is the Daisy Ridley movie.
Yes, and pre-production is set to begin soon.
Okay.
Dave Filoni's Star Wars film.
Yes.
Which is the Thrawn, the heir to the Empire, I think is what everyone's calling it. So this is the culmination of all the New Republic movies. All the little threads are coming together to make a movie. And this is delayed because Filoni was working on Ahsoka season 2.
Okay.
It's not expected before 2028, possibly on the 50th anniversary of Star Wars in May 2027.
That's a ways off.
Yeah. James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi era Star Wars film. So that it's still moving along.
Still happening.
Right. The schedule shifted a lot because of the strikes. Production is supposed to start in late March, and we're looking at a December 2027 release for that one.
Okay.
Sean Levy's Star Wars film. There's some stuff reported. Apparently Rey is going to make an appearance in this one.
Be interesting if this is like a direct sequel to Charmin Obaid Chinoy's movie, or if it's just like
that's what some of the speculation is.
Or
maybe
if it just happens after a little after that,
or around that time,
and it is a different story with different plot threads.
That's what more or less people are kind of thinking. Yeah. We other than that, we know nothing about that.
Yes.
Taika Waititi Star Wars film still happening, has not been canceled.
A fun thing I learned from reading the summary you put on our show rundown. At one point, Taika Waititi's coming soon section on his IMDb page was longer than his "this is what he has released" section.
So he's apparently been working on this for 4 years.
Which okay, he's been working on a ton of other shit for 4 years. So like, if this was just on the backest of back burners,
I'm just saying, Taika Waititi, who has been playing coy and like, I don't know, I'll write the script someday.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have this feeling. So apparently there have been multiple scripts turned in, right? I have a feeling that this has been turned in for a while and he's just fucking with everyone. I bet they have a story locked down.
That is possibility.
Because Taika, that's how he is. He's just like, I'm just going to, because you know how he is.
Yeah.
So he's directing Clara and the Sun before the Star Wars thing. So they're thinking like after that, he'll be free to, you know, to do shit. And then the Lando film, which we know is
apparently still happening.
We know it's happening. No, this is the one with the least amount of updates. We know that Donald and Stephen Glover are writing it together. And we don't know if it's movie or TV show.
They were working on a TV show called Atlanta, which just fairly recently finished, I believe. So that presumably opens up a bunch of their schedule. Right.
So like it could be a film or a TV show. We have no idea when it's coming. And out of all the ones
like this, I feel like this is the one that was announced first.
Yeah.
And might happen the last of everything we know about.
This is like out of the list. This is the one where I'm like, I would be the least surprised if this is the one they cancel.
Yeah.
So
just it seems like it's been in that pre-production hell for a very long time.
All right. What's next on our?
As long as we're talking about Daisy Ridley, let's talk about Daisy Ridley. So she has a movie coming out called Sometimes I Think About Dying. It's apparently about an office worker or something.
Right.
And so obviously she is doing, the press tour and giving an interview with Variety. And like halfway through this interview, they started asking her about Star Wars.
Because that's what you do. Yeah. By the way, I thought when I was reading through this, I thought that Sometimes I Think About Dying was something she said in the interview. No. And not the film she's working on. And I was like, damn.
That's kind of dark.
That's really dark. Yeah. Like, Jesus. Anyway.
So she was asked about, how does it feel to be in the Star Wars movie, the series' first female director? And she's like, it's okay. But like the story's really fucking cool. Like,
yeah, that's the thing that really caught my attention, where she's like, guys, this story's fucking cool.
Yeah.
I was like, all right. Okay, cool.
She also mentioned how like she kind of grew up making the sequel trilogy, and now she feels like she's matured a little bit as an actor. And like she's actually a producer on Sometimes I Feel Like Dying.
Yeah.
Which, if the rumors are true, she is also a producer on the Rey Star Wars movie. So
that would make sense. So the thing about her growing up with the sequel trilogy, actually, I remember an anecdote from either her or J.J. Abrams or both.
Because I believe, when she auditioned for Rey in Force Awakens, she was like working in a bar or something.
She hadn't really had any. Yeah, and I know that according to one or both of them, J.J. Abrams had an issue with her acting like on the first day of shooting, because she was apparently really wooden.
Yeah.
But like they got through it. Yeah. And they coached her and everything. And I think that's one of those things where they saw an investment opportunity. Maybe when she auditioned, she didn't have this kick-ass audition, but they were like,
there's something.
Yeah, that like we could make something great out of this. And then that's kind of what they did. I am excited to see her play Rey as a more mature actor.
Yeah.
And because some of, even out of the stuff that we got in the sequel trilogy, some of it is a little wooden and a little awkward. I always kind of chalk that up to maybe just she's just kind of awkward. The character's kind of awkward. Yeah. She lives by herself in the fucking water on Jakku. So whatever.
Another thing, Star Wars Visions. Cool thing.
Are you doing this one?
Yeah.
Okay.
So Viz Media is making a manga based on 4 of the stories from Star Wars Visions, The Elder, Lop and Ocho, The Ninth Jedi, and The Twins. That's coming in May of this year.
232 pages.
It's a lot of cartoons.
Yeah. It's going to be $15. There's a really great set of stories called The Legend of Luke Skywalker.
Yes.
That I first read in print. And the whole thing is stories about Luke Skywalker
from like bystanders in the galaxy.
No, from people who heard it from someone who witnessed it. Right. So they're very removed from
tall tales.
Right. And they did a manga like adaptation of it.
I think I've seen some of this.
It's really cool. Yeah. Like it is really neat. Everyone thinks that Luke Skywalker pulled a Star Destroyer out of orbit at Jakku. Everyone in the galaxy is
Yeah.
convinced of this. So when a stormtrooper sees Luke Skywalker for the
just
first
shits his
time,
pants.
and he's like, I'm dead.
Yes.
Like this man is just going to eat me.
He's
right?
going to disassemble me molecule by molecule.
Right. And Luke ends up saving his life.
That's
and
nice.
He's like, see you later, man. He's like, all right.
Thanks.
Thank God I'm still alive.
Billy Dee Williams.
Yep.
I like that guy. He has a memoir coming out entitled What Have We Here? So, of course, he's doing a press tour. He talked to Variety. Variety? Or was this someone else? He was on the Dagobah Dispatch podcast.
Right. Yeah, that's the official Star Wars like news thing.
And he was talking about how, like, after Empire Strikes Back came out, like, a whole bunch of people would just walk up to him and be like, you fucking betrayed Han Solo, you asshole. And like, at first he would explain, like, from the character's perspective, how everything made sense. And he's trying to make it. After all, he's just like, leave me the fuck alone. Like, it's a character in a movie. None of it is real. Go away.
I am not literally Lando Calrissian.
Yeah.
Like, I played that role. It's so weird how Star Wars fans have like I should say it, some Star
a
Wars
certain subsect of Star Wars
they're like
are just really fucking weird.
Right. The same people that go after the actor that played Rose Tico. And it's like, you understand that, like, okay, maybe you didn't like the character. That's fine. Like, that's not who she is in real life.
Yeah.
She's a different person. Yeah. Because when you're an actor, you pretend to be someone you're not.
But that is your job. You get paid money to do it.
It just blows my mind. I get to see Billy Dee Williams be like, man,
leave me the fuck alone.
Leave me alone. Hey, let's do one of our favorite segments to do.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, do we have another one?
Well, there was some non-Star Wars stuff on the docket. Last of Us Season 2. Well, The Last of Us. Pretty good show. Did
you put this on here?
You put it on there.
I did?
I didn't put it on here.
I mean, it doesn't matter. You can put whatever you want to on there.
Well, anyway, Last of Us Season 2 is getting the showrunner of Loki's first season to direct some of its episodes.
Yeah.
Which is cool, because Loki Season 1 slaps.
Yeah, it was Loki and Succession, which is also a breathtakingly amazing show. So that can only help it.
In fact, Last of Us Season 1 didn't need very much help. It was really
it was pretty great. In fact, I think John and I are going to rewatch it soon, because I've only seen it once. Mm-hmm. So I think that'd be really cool. I have to like mentally prepare myself for the
for all the deaths and all the weird fungus shit.
Yeah, but also the Nick Offerman episode, because while that is one of the best episodes I've ever seen in TV,
it's beautiful and it just rips your heart apart.
But it's also one of those things where, like, oh man, I don't know if I can watch that again. And then there's a Darth Maul black, white, and red miniseries, which they did one for Darth Maul or Darth Vader as well. No. So one of those is coming out, or it's been announced by Marvel,
which is presumably just Maul wrecking shit.
Right. That would be cool. The visual style for that comic is really neat.
Okay, now time for our very special segment.
Yeah, our like personally a favorite segment of mine to do, which is the Mike Zeroh Lie of the Week award, which up until now, including tonight, the award has gone to Mike Zeroh, because
he lies.
Yeah, he lies a lot, and it's like, in all the Star Wars theory bros, look, we're giving you a break, unless you're also simping for Mike Zeroh, which let's be honest,
that's kind of fucking weird.
Also, wouldn't be surprised, but here we are. It's a weird world we live in. So in fact, this involves Star Wars theory a little bit.
Okay.
So last week we were talking about all the shit going around about Charmin Obaid-Chinoy about
her movie's in disarray. It's going to be canceled any second now. Right. Kathleen Kennedy's head is going to be displayed on a pike outside of Disney.
Well, specifically, some comments that she made 8 years ago.
Oh, yeah.
With Jon Stewart.
About how it's going to make men uncomfortable and blah, blah, blah.
Right. To put that in perspective, 8 years ago, she would talk to Jon Stewart, and because she did a documentary about violence against women in Pakistan.
Okay.
And so when Jon Stewart asked her about making men uncomfortable, she's like, I hope it does, because there's terrible shit happening to Pakistani women, which, by the way, apparently a proud ally of the United States, that we send weapons and money to that region all the time, and it really sucks. But they do terrible things to women there, and she's Pakistani. It matters to her. And so what she said was, I hope that men watch this and it makes them uncomfortable, because it should. What's happening to women in Pakistan is disgusting. And when you learn about it, it should make you feel uncomfortable because it's fucking terrible. Now, of course, the Star Wars theory bros, including Star Wars theory, turned this into she's talking about Star Wars and it's a slap in the face to fans. And then he had that fucking psychologist or whatever on his, on his channel where she said that women
don't care about Star Wars.
Right.
Let the boys have.
Which are like, it was taken out of context. And it's like, unlike Chino's, which by the way could have been said about Star Wars and still wouldn't have been wrong.
Yeah.
We're actually out of context. There's no context that makes that better.
No.
So no, it doesn't matter if they're taken out of context or not. It was a shitty thing to say. Stop simping for Star Wars theories. He's not going to let you suck his dick. Anyway, I don't think.
Well, let's reel this back because we're not supposed to be talking about Star Wars theory.
Right. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm very, very sorry. So Mike Zeroh was like, hold on. I need to be involved in this. Because Star Wars theory got on fucking NBC, like that NBC carried that story.
Really?
Yeah, there was an NBC article about it.
Slow news day.
There was something else as well, like another big outlet that talked about it. And of course, by the way, I know I'm going to start talking about Star Wars theory. Immediately started playing the victim. That was like, oh, the ultra left is out to get me.
The woke media.
Yeah, it's like, of course, that's your pre-scripted. That's what they always say. It's like it's on the script. That's what. So Mike Zeroh is feeling a little left out. So he had to, in his high chair, pick up his breakfast and throw it at the wall so everyone will notice him, and put out one of his rage bait fucking videos that claimed that Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy has been fired as the director of the upcoming Star Wars movie centered around Rey.
And what was his source for this?
There was no source.
Oh.
And it wasn't one of those things where he's like, oh, a source told me, and it was like they ended up being wrong. He made it up. He lied.
Yes.
Because that's what he does. And that's where we are. He wanted to get on the gravy train.
He wanted some attention.
He wanted some of that fucking hate money.
So he thought, what can I do that will get clicks?
Yeah.
Let's just fucking lie.
Yeah. And he told a lie. And if of course she hasn't been fired. And like, I think it's funny that everyone's like, oh, woke Disney, blah, blah, blah. But like, you also believe that they would fire a woke director.
Yeah.
Like, either they're woke and they cover the ass of their woke directors, or they're not and they fire the woke directors.
Spoilers, they're not. They pretend to be when it makes them money, but Disney doesn't give a shit about anything except making more money.
And if you're saying, oh, but the backlash, it's like, you didn't make as big of a splash as you thought.
No.
Like, you're very loud on the internet, but no one fucking cares.
Yeah.
Like, no one cares what you have to say about this.
The casual Star Wars fan does not know who Mike Zeroh or Star Wars Theory or any of these internet shitheads are.
And they don't see the comment you're doing right now about me, blah, 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 blah. It just, you're irrelevant. Mike Zeroh manufactures these stories because it makes him money. And it's a grift, and you're the mark.
Yep.
Congratulations. You're the mark. You're a dumbass, and I'm sorry that you're a dumbass.
I forget where exactly I heard it, but everyone on the internet is selling something, and if you don't know what they're selling you.
Yeah. Or information about you. Yeah. You are the products. Okay.
So now that we got that out of our system,
I feel a lot better.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, it's like when you drink too much and you start to feel sick and then you puke and you're like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. They're like, oh, all right. Now I can drink more.
Yeah.
That's where we are in this. So, look, there are some fan theories that are just the stinkiest shit in the world. Mace Windu is really alive. Shitty. Because he's dead.
Yes.
I could probably name off several. Cad Bane still being alive. Bigger Luke, which is actually just kind of a joke theory, but here we are. Jar Jar Binks is a Sith Lord.
Yes.
Also a joke theory, which, by the way, I maintain today, if done well, would have been one of the biggest shocking twists in all of cinema.
Yeah.
But no, that's not what we're here to talk about.
Not real.
Turns out every once in a while, the average Star Wars fan will come up with a pretty fucking cool theory about a fact in the universe.
Well, an infinite number of monkeys, infinite number of typewriters eventually comes up with a cool Star Wars fan theory.
we're all monkeys.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Chris just said.
I mean, we are primates.
That's true.
You cannot deny that. That's just science.
Yes, it is. Wow, that could be an entire can of worms, by the way, that I am prepared to defend, but not today. So, there'll be a fact in Star Wars. The writer at the time didn't think to expound on it enough.
And then something else happens a few years down the line, and holy shit, these two things connect together in a very interesting way.
So we're going to go through and do some of these. Some of these are character explanations or motivation explanations that I've enjoyed, that I liked. So if you're watching this, make sure that you like the video, subscribe to us wherever we are, Facebook Live.
Tell us what your most deranged fan theory is.
Or specifically, if there's one on here that you particularly like that you thought was really cool.
Or if you can poke holes in that.
Yeah. So the first one is that this explains R2's behavior in Empire Strikes Back.
Okay.
Which more or less is everyone constantly telling R2, stay where you are. And then R2 being like, fuck off.
You. I'm going where I want.
And so this is, these are all from Redditors, Redditors, by the way. In this one I couldn't find an attribution for this one, but in Empire Strikes Back, when Luke tells R2 to stay in the ship at various times, he doesn't stay put because the last person to tell him that was Anakin, and he never came back. Which I'm like, oh, and we know that R2 would care about that.
Yeah.
And so it wouldn't surprise me if Luke, was like, stay where you are. He's like, oh, I'm not doing that shit again. Nope.
I know what happened to your daddy.
Yeah. Yep. I will follow you. I will follow you to death. I'm not doing that.
I will follow you and just sort of headbutt all of your enemies.
Yeah. And then curse at them. Yes. So another thing about R2 in relation to his memory, which is this from Redditor, Grits and Gravy, which, by the way, grits are gross. I'm sorry. Don't come at me about that. Grits and Gravy 94. My favorite R2 theory is that in A New Hope, when he and Obi-Wan meet again, that unlike C-3PO, R2's memory was never erased, but they pretend not to know each other. Now, we already know that R2's memory wasn't erased. He's the one that never had. That's why his personality is so unique.
Yeah.
And why he's kind of a spicy bitch.
Yeah.
It's because that happens to R2 units when you don't wipe their memory, which is a little proof that droids in the Star Wars universe are sentient and they live lives of horror.
Yep.
So the whole like pretending not to know each other thing, I could get. Like that kind of makes sense.
That is definitely something Obi-Wan would do.
Yeah, especially when he doesn't know what's going on, and he's like, I don't know the fuck. Who's asking? Like they're like, is this your droid? Who the fuck's asking?
You a cop?
Yeah, you have to say if you're a cop.
You legally have to tell me if you're a cop.
Yeah. So this is from Redditor, Deceitor Timber. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Not that any of these people will ever know that I mispronounce their names. This is about Darth Vader and his survival through the dark side. Darth Vader can only survive his terrible injuries to the power of the dark side by focusing his pain and suffering, which I think probably after this was posed, there have been some Darth Vader comic issues where his suit is shut down, and then he uses the dark side to not immediately die.
Yes.
So we know that to a point, this is actually true, right? That the suit probably does a lot of the heavy lifting, but he when the suit fails, he just uses the dark side to stay alive.
I like this because it kind of calls back to a character in Knights of the Old Republic 2, Darth Sion. If you remember him, he's like his skin is all crinkly and clay, like it's about to peel apart, and he literally holds himself together by just being pissed at everything.
Yeah. I totally get that, by the way. So this is about Anakin's balancing of the Force. It's from Affectionate Ad. Anakin did balance the Force by becoming Vader. Both light and dark are equally important. Why did the Jedi think? What did the Jedi think balance meant?
That is, I don't believe that for a second, because that is not what George Lucas envisioned the Force being.
Yeah, actually, now that you say it, maybe I'll leave this one because it's stupid. But
like in the original trilogy, at least, George Lucas's vision of the Force in balance was
no bad guys.
Right. Yeah. The light is ascendant. The dark side just is wiped out.
Yeah, and balance was a word he used because he was really into Eastern, Eastern spiritualism.
Yeah.
Right. And this is one I thought was interesting about Anakin's flying skills. The reason Anakin crashes so much, because he crashes every ship he ever flies. The reason Anakin crashes so much despite being one of the best pilots in the galaxy is because he's constantly flying trash. Which kind of made me laugh because the Naboo starfighter, which he crashed, was actually kind of a cool ship.
Yeah.
Jedi starfighter, actually a really cool ship.
Yeah.
He never crashed Padme's ship, I guess. Or did he ever fly it? I think she flew that.
Yeah, I think Padme might have been driving there.
He might have actually crashed that if he had given. He's like the Deanna Troi.
I feel like he just flies a little too close to the sun, trying to do something really cool, and just loses control at the last second.
He's like, "Is Padme watching?" Oh. Yeah.
I'll try spinning. That's a cool trick.
Here's something that would make sense.
Okay.
That I don't like.
Okay.
Because I have my own opinion about this, but this is from Redditor, Dark Knight 109. Emperor Palpatine deliberately threw the fight against Mace Windu in order to bait Anakin and corrupt him. Now, personally, I think that Palpatine got his ass whooped by Mace Windu, and Anakin came in, and I'm pretty sure if we could hear Palpatine's inner monologue, would have been like, thank fuck. Like, maybe he had counted on it.
Maybe.
But Mace Windu had him dead to rights.
Yes.
And his lightning attack didn't help.
To believe this, I think you have to start from the position that Palpatine is strong enough in the Force to sense exactly where Anakin was, exactly how long it would take him to get there, and also deliberately mastermind this fight against Mace Windu so that he would be in a vulnerable position but not yet dead when Anakin walked in.
And also knowing for sure if Anakin was close enough to the edge to step over.
Which I don't think is completely impossible, but is like walking up to the ledge of implausible.
Yeah. This is one I love, which is the origin of the kyber crystal that ends up in Luke Skywalker's second lightsaber that we see in Return of the Jedi, which is his green lightsaber. Now, we all know that they picked green because a lot of the first action scenes that we get with him with his new lightsaber are outside against a blue sky, and the blue lightsaber didn't look good. So they're like, it's green.
Sure.
Yeah. And so that's really why it was green.
In fact, if you look at the Return of the Jedi movie poster, which you have one up there, it shows the blue, green lightsaber with a blue blade.
Yeah, right. So the theory, though, is that the kyber crystal in Luke's green lightsaber is the same one from Qui-Gon Jinn's that presumably Obi-Wan would have kept and had in his hut. And then when Luke went back to Tatooine to rebuild his lightsaber, rummaging through dead Ben's old shit, he found Qui-Gon's lightsaber, took the kyber crystal out, and then made a lightsaber out of it, which I think would be really cool.
I don't hate it.
Yeah.
I think it's plausible from an in-universe perspective. It just is certainly not what George Lucas intended because Qui-Gon Jinn didn't exist at the time.
Canonically, the blanket that Yoda has with him in Return of the Jedi is made from Qui-Gon's cloak.
Oh,
yeah,
that's kind of nice.
Yeah, there's one that's not on the list, but I would be remiss not to put it on here because it's one of these things that I love as an explanation to the alternative.
Okay,
which is in Episode 3, Padme's giving birth. She starts dying. What's the excuse?
She's lost the will to live.
At the same moment, Anakin is lying on a lava beach, dying, clinging to life. The theory being that when Palpatine finds him, he uses Sith sorcery to siphon off life force from Padme because sorcery.
No.
And that's what ends up killing her. And maybe that's why the droids were like, we don't fucking know why she's dying.
Something I just came up with right now, so feel free to poke holes in it. Yep. But a more tragic alternative to that was that Anakin had a very strong connection to Padme through the Force and was unknowingly siphoning off life energy from her just to keep himself alive at that moment.
Actually, I like that too. Yeah, I like that. Cool. And in fact, that that kind of, if we get to one of these, it kind of connects to it.
Skip ahead to that one.
Well, hold on. So the Obi-Wan Vader fight in A New Hope is clunky as fuck.
Yes.
Right. This is from Redditor Think News. The reason why Obi-Wan and Vader's fight is so incredibly restricted is that they have both become such absolute masters of the Force in dueling. That
basically they all know how to cancel each other's flashy shit.
Right. The thing that I've seen that kind of goes along with this, that makes a little bit more sense to me, was that they both were much, obviously they're older and shit, and they couldn't afford to make any mistakes, so they fought a lot more conservatively, which I think also kind of works.
I don't think you really need to justify that, though. Like, It was the first time anyone had tried doing
laser
that.
swords, yeah.
And you had one guy who was 70 years old or something. You had the other guy who was in this incredibly restrictive rubber suit.
Yeah.
Like,
here's an interesting thing about Anakin and Padme from God, Emperor of Hell. The romance between Anakin and Padme is so abrupt. It's because Anakin is using the Force on Padme to unknowingly manipulate her into loving him.
Oh, that's dark.
So it's like a Jedi love potion, which is actually kind of weird. And it is in Attack of the Clones. It is a little abrupt.
It would be weird.
Yeah.
However, I'm not willing to fully endorse this because it kind of excuses George Lucas's incredibly shitty writing.
Yeah. This is a sequel trilogy one.
Okay.
Which is at the critical moment when Kylo Ren and Han Solo are on the walkway together. Han is the one that turns the lightsaber on because he knew he'd need to be redeemed later. And so he was the one that made the decision to do it so that Kylo wouldn't have to make the choice.
It fits with Kylo's whole I know what I need to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it thing. But that also makes that doesn't make sense with like how Han deals with the Force in every other time we've seen him.
Now, maybe it's something you said that now that I think about it, Snoke tells him in The Last Jedi that killing his father split him to the bone, that he could feel it or whatever. So, last one, my favorite one. Ewoks are a hive mind, like ants or termites, possibly using pheromones to communicate, and it's the reason that they were able to so spontaneously appear to fight the stormtroopers, because they just all kind of decided. And you'll know that they sniff everything, like they, because they're that kind of animal. That they fart off a pheromone, the war pheromone or whatever, and they all grab their sticks and they all go to war. Okay, sure, I love it. It's my head.
Lucas, make it canon.
It's my head canon now. All right, so
Disney, if you've ever wanted to like get us on your side, just fucking make that canon.
We're apparently shills anyway.
Yep.
So make it official. We'll $20 is $20. We'll do it for less than you think. All right, we're gonna go play some Battlefront now. We hope to see you there, and we'll talk more about Star Wars and all that other shit. So thank you for joining us, and we'll see you soon.
Bye.